Dana, I have a bone to pick with you.
Whoa. All right, let's go.
Which I actually don't. I was thinking about that phrase this morning, and I was like, bone to pick? Why? Who's picking
Right.
bone? It seems like a point of contention, and yet it's not really. Like if you think of it in a literal sense, I have bone to pick with you. That sounds like sharing.
It does.
Come pick this bone with me.
Sorry, I ate the last piece of Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit left on the bone.
Yep.
Let's pick this together.
This is what buzzards and vultures say to each other. Hey man, I got a bone to pick with you. Are you serious? Where?
I immediately got the picture of that buzzard from Bugs Bunny.
He's the one we all picture.
Fly. My mama done told me to fetch me some dinner. Remember that guy? Well, before we get too far off the rails, let's welcome our loyal listeners back to another episode of Two Guys Talking Toys. I noticed that you are in a Siberian prison there with no decor or toys to speak of.
The word for today is sparse.
Sparse.
If I was on Sesame Street, that would be the word of the day. Apparently, this is what it looks like in the Count's dungeon.
Because the Count, a Stanley Kubrick film. You look like a Stanley Kubrick film.
I would never want to be in a Stanley Kubrick film. He would make me do this. We'd have to record this podcast 317 times.
Speaking of, we got it right. Shelley Duvall, rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Shelley. That's unfortunate. No person was better to play Olive Oyl.
No one at all. She was perfect.
It still blows my mind that there was a live action Popeye movie that was not only live action but a musical.
Right? Yeah, it's bad. But I gotta tell you why. Like Robin Williams was great as Popeye. Like it was a great impersonation. She was great as Olive Oyl. Like the octopus was fun, but I don't know, it just didn't work.
I think your response to it is probably the perfect quote. ... Yeah, but it was bad.
It was bad. Did you get anything new besides tossing all your toys? Not new.
I removed everything new.
Getting rid of everything old. Did you get something to replace it with?
You know what? I do not have new things that I have purchased in hand. However, my pile of loot is just filling up. Right, almost less than a week after I sent my last one, new stuff just kept hitting. Tidal wave, the Titan class tidal wave, more Legion stuff. There's a Monster Hunters line that Big Bad Toy Store is sponsoring, but they had a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive that was clear, like a clear red for Dracula, and like a clear.
Of course you had to get that. Yeah,
I had to get them. I pre-ordered them, and then they hit the pile, and I was like, oh, I didn't think these were going to hit till August, but fantastic. So now this current pile is larger than the one that I had just shipped. So that's exciting. I'm going to be very excited to get that. However,
we'll be excited to see it.
The only other thing in the apartment right now is
that box.
Just this one box, which I believe I know what's in here. Let's find out. I really should put a little. We say this every other week. I really should have a little intro thing for this. What's in the box? Oh, okay. This is what I thought. So technically, this is not a toy, or it's kind of a toy for the eyes. This is the art of Godzilla and Kong.
Oh, that's cool.
Which I've really been looking forward to. I have the art book for Godzilla vs. Kong, which is really cool, and I've been actively trying to avoid spoilers for whatever interior goodies have been in this one, because a lot of people either got like an early copy or somehow got their hands on it before everyone else and just posted it all over online.
I hate people. Like, you got to be first. Let me post it first.
I just want to get it. I want to open it. I want to enjoy it. This is part of the reason I don't. Man, is it tough to watch shows and still be on the internet? I mean, this is not news to anybody because it is what it is. But I just want to experience something for the first time and not have some goober that is still watching like the end credits of a show start posting about it. Like, why? The cover.
Dumb goober.
So nice. All right, I am looking forward to it. I will not be that person and just be like, look what's inside the book, guys. but
I know how it ends.
I am going to enjoy this because man, but perfect movie. The perfect movie. No notes. Just like Godzilla versus Kong. Perfect movie. No notes. So how about you? Have you got anything new?
Yeah, I finally picked up. Speaking about King of Monsters and Godzilla, that Ghidorah that's been hanging around at Target for $10.
Oh,
I mean, I've seen it a
okay.
couple times, and then it
Mhm.
disappears, and
Yeah,
then I'm like, oh, you know what? Maybe I should have picked that up. And then I saw it this week, and it was $10, so I
that's
picked
not
it up.
it's not bad for $10. Like I like see the King of Monsters version of Ghidorah have elements that I both do and don't like. But I love the way that the wings are just gigantic. Uh,
Yeah,
I I wish that a better company was making toys for it. I mean, I think Haya is working on one that looks amazing.
yeah,
Monster Arts has one that looks amazing, but yeah, somewhere in
I
the middle ground between high
yeah,
end expensive collectible versus you know kind of not so much.
yeah. But this looks pretty good for $10. I'm
Hmm.
not going to complain about it. The
Hmm.
heads are articulated, the
Hmm.
necks, the legs, the wings don't flap, but that's okay. And he's got this little removable chunk in his chest that's battle damage, but we'll leave that in there. But it looks pretty good. For $10, it's not bad.
I
I'll
don't
take
know.
it.
I want to keep an eye out for the large version of Shimu is supposed to be coming out.
Yes, I haven't
I
seen it, but
want.
I know it's coming. I want to see it.
I kind of wish that they would make the way that they have all those super colossal dinosaurs from the Jurassic Park line. Give
Yeah,
me a super colossal version of Shimo to set up against my remote controlled Godzilla from the movie, just so that
I
they're
will.
kind of properly in scale. Get on
I'm on
that.
it. I'm on it.
Fantastic.
Great. Hey, today I thought we should discuss, since we've already discussed the X-Men and
Mhm.
other, we haven't spoken about the Avengers yet, have we?
No, we have not done an
We haven't.
Avengers episode.
Let's talk about the Justice League of America. Instead of the
Hey,
Avengers, let's
those
talk about the Justice League.
those guys just fought Godzilla. Let's do it.
Well, we always talk about the Marvel
Mhm.
lines because we've had the Marvel Legends, different companies, iterations of that,
Mhm.
plus everything else Marvel throws at us.
Mhm.
The Diamond Select and this and that, but we don't talk about the Justice League, and there have been a lot of Justice League toys that
Boy, howdy.
we just haven't really talked about them. So, when I was a kid, we used to get once in a while at like yard sales and stuff. We get the Mego Justice Leagues, and I have a couple of them. I showed them the Batmobile and all of that, which was like 1975 or 76.
Mhm.
And then they did the 12-inch Wonder Woman in 76. Mego did.
Mhm.
You never really had
I
Megos, right?
No, I was not a collector of Migos. Actually, wasn't really a collector of Justice League anything for a while. You're going to be the subject matter expert on this because I I remember seeing them on shelves, but never actively went out of my way to get really anyone. Um, I think I may have had I remember having a. I may have mentioned this before. I remember having a Batman that had the utility belt that also served as a grappling hook, so it would unwind from his waist, and you could wrap it around
Right. Yeah.
something and let him
Yeah.
wind back up to it. I don't remember where I got it from. I don't remember asking for it. Somehow I had this, but that's
Yeah.
really as far as like, and even that was more
So
like
that was like
Batman,
89,
Batman.
90. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it
Yeah.
wasn't even him in like it wasn't even like Justice League Batman.
And now I think back to it, like now we talk about McFarlane and all the lines now are so Batman heavy.
Mhm.
But even back in the early 70s with Beagle, like you got Shazam, you had
Yeah.
Superman, and you had Mitsopidalic and Luthor. But then you had the Joker, the Penguin, like the Riddler. It was
Mhm.
already very Batman heavy
And
until, go
now,
ahead.
in the Migo line, because these were all Migo characters, right? Like they
Correct.
all
Yeah. Yeah.
did they. I feel like I may have asked you this before. Did they have like different? How different were they? Did they have like one Migo body and then they just kind of added a new head and new clothes, or the Penguin's in it? So did they actually make it look like Penguin,
They
or
had a
was he
couple
like
of,
Slim Penguin?
right. They had a couple of body types. They had the chubby
Mhm.
Penguin.
Okay,
And then they had the bigger buck for like the Hulk
yeah,
and the Thing. But for the most part, it was the same body.
okay.
Yeah, the same. And they, like you said, they would switch the head out, switch out the
Mhm.
clothes, give those giant oven mitts, and then they'd be on their way. Yeah. And then that's all we really had for Justice League until my favorite year, 1984, when we got the superpowers, folks. And then it was on. It was
Mhm.
on. Because we had, there was like 3 series, some
Mhm.
mailaways. Like they were cool characters. And of
What was
course,
the
spawned from the Super Friends TV show.
yeah? What were the mailaways? Do you remember offhand?
Yeah, there was like a club kit, like a fan
Mhm.
club kit. Clark Kent
Mhm.
was one of the mailaways. He wasn't released in the stores, Clark Kent. And then Steppenwolf originally was a mail away. And I remember I mailed away for Steppenwolf. You had to have
Mhm.
5 proofs of purchase.
Ah, it was I man, I remember the
I wish they still did that. That was so, how, what if they
yeah.
did like the Build-A-Figures? If you did had to mail away 5 proofs of purchase. It was fantastic.
I,
I loved it. Like we got a bunch that way, but yeah, that's how I got Steppenwolf. And then they
mhm.
released him in the store. There was Clark Kent, Steppenwolf, and then some like there
Mhm.
was like a poster and a
Mhm.
couple other things that you could mail away for. But the only 2 figures I remember were Steppenwolf and Kent. And then they
Mhm.
released uh, Steppenwolf in the store later on.
I remember the superpowers toy line being on shelves, but I never again never picked them up. I would look at them and be like, huh, really need some Snake Men. Where where are those at?
I was in like series 1, series 2,
Mhm.
I was in. Series 3, I think I was moving on to something else. And now, I bought them later on in life, but those
Yeah,
are the ones that are costing a little more because they didn't make a bunch of them. I guess because the
yeah.
line's got like Plastic Man, Cyborg,
Mhm.
those type of characters that were in series 3.
Mhm.
But those figures were awesome at the time. They seemed very well sculpted because before that, in that same year, the Marvel Secret Wars figures came out. But
Okay.
um, like this, the like GI Joe had, you know, early on they kept using the same head, like Breaker, Rock
Mhm.
and Roll, and a couple others had the same head. Grunt and a couple other guys had the same head.
Mhm.
um and sometimes like the Rock and Roll head, they literally would paint a beard on it. So if they didn't paint the beard on, then they got Flash and Short Fuse. So like Flash and Short Fuse had the same head, only one had blonde hair and one had brown hair. And you had the Star Wars guys that were, some of them were well sculpted, but early on they weren't. But right off the bat, the superpowers guys had the Battlematic action when you
Yeah.
squeeze the legs together, so that was
Mhm.
something new.
Mhm.
um and they also had, they were a little bigger. They were a
Mhm.
full, 4 inches as opposed to like the 3 3/4, and they were
Yeah.
beefy. And they had bending knees. GI Joe was pretty well articulated, but they had the
Yeah.
bending knees and the Battlematic fist punch or run or whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
But but the sculpting on those was phenomenal. Like they had very good. Like there were some bucks that they reused, like the original Batman and the Superman had the same
Yeah.
chest and legs and stuff. But they
Mhm.
had some others that were really good sculpts going on. The Hawkman was great. It was good
Now,
stuff.
what was your play pattern like when you had those? Like, did you cross them over with GI Joe? Like, did Superman fly into the middle of a battle with Cobra, and they're like, "Oh crap, it's Superman." Uh, did
No, we originally did because we didn't have enough. Like first,
mhm.
there was a Christmas where I got a buttload of them.
uh,
I got the Hold of Justice and the Lexor 7. They had cool vehicles too, so I'm gonna get into that. I
there
showed
were
the
a lot of cool
Batmobile here one
vehicles.
time. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, so the first one, of course, that I got as a kid was Batman.
Mhm.
And but I didn't have the rest of them yet. So, and we still had the GI Joe kind of set up in the basement doing our thing. So
Mhm.
I introduced Batman into the GI Joe realm, and he was much bigger than Batman would have been. But you know who I used to fight against him? And then when Superman came, I used a Visionary.
Oh, okay.
Because it was the
I
same size. So I said, well, if this
that
guy's the
does.
same size, so he's going to be Cobra's big dude to fight Batman.
I
So
could
that's
absolutely see Cobra calling up. Oh, I forgot the name of the main bad guy. He had the dumbest visionary animal too. It was a weird like snail creature thing that was his
that's
holographic.
horrifying.
But
Yeah,
it was just so weird. But for him uh, being like the main bad guy, it makes perfect sense that they would team up with Cobra to question mark. This makes
absolutely.
perfect sense. We're tied into Cobra Law somehow.
Right. And then the second wave gave us new characters to me anyway.
Mhm.
The second wave gave us Darkseid,
That's right.
Calabac, Martian Manhunter, Red Tornado. Like, the first end you got Aquaman and Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Everybody knew about them. But then the second wave, you really got the cool new characters. And that's when Darkseid had his own buck. Calabac was huge and bent
Yeah.
over. It was just so well done, that line. And the parademons, like we got
Mhm.
all of the dark side guys, and then Steppenwolf was the mail away. Um, and that was cool because you got to build the apocalypse army.
Yeah. Uh-oh. My
And then then came wave 3 with Orion and these characters that was like the last one to wave. So there aren't a lot of the Orions, and Cyborg is $200 to pick him up now because by series 3 they were kind of on the way out.
did you have a favorite a specific favorite character from that original superpowers line?
Oh yeah, it
Was
was
that
it was originally Batman, of course, but then Darkseid. When as far as the villains, because I had the
Mhm.
Lexor 7, it had cool vehicles, the Lexor
Yeah.
7, and it had two fins on the back that you would squeeze together, much like the legs, and on
Mhm.
the bottom it would open a claw, so
Mhm.
it could swoop in and grab somebody off the ground.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah,
I
and then Superman had the silly like punching plane. But that Batmobile is one of my favorite Batmobile toys. I
mhm.
love that one.
Now is McFarlane supposed to re-release that? I know he's been
He's done the Batmobile.
really. Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah, yep, I have it.
See, he's been really good about kind of just cranking out the whole superpowers
Yeah, and
line.
I love that he's keeping the same aesthetic. He's got
Mhm.
the invisible jet. He did Superman's silly punch plane.
Yeah.
He did the whirly bird for Batman, Brainiac's little scooter thing, which I think I showed on here one time,
Mhm.
Blue Beetles thingy, and of course the Batmobile.
I wonder if he's going to put out. Wasn't there like an apocalypse playset or like something for Dark
Right.
Side?
The big giant. I have I
Yeah.
have the original one. It's so great.
Uh.
Darkseid sits in the middle and it's got the big wings.
Mhm.
I mean, it's like this big.
Yeah.
And then the two cars on the wings could come off.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a
That's.
really great set. It's huge. It's bigger than like the Hall of Justice was.
I mean, he's released so much. He's released so much stuff, or like remade so much of that older stuff. I wonder if he's going to get around to doing the play sets. I mean, why not?
I would be excited if he did the Hall of Justice.
Yeah,
I'd be really excited about that.
and
Um,
because now he's starting to creep into some of maybe like I like seeing some of the newer characters that weren't done in that style,
right.
like Kilowog
Yeah.
is coming out.
Yeah. The
There's the
Kilowog is
like
great. He's sitting right out there.
the Japanese Batman. Uh,
Yes.
oh, when did you get Kilowog? I didn't get him for you, did I?
Yes, you did.
I did. I completely forgot. This is the multiple Scarlets problem all over again. Did I get Scarlet?
Yeah,
No.
you got
I
me
don't think I got Scarlet.
Kilowog and Brainiac and Blue Beetle. I think one more.
That's the forgetful custom brain of mine, right? I'll pick stuff up and not know if I
Well, that
already
speaks to your
purchased it.
character. You just give and you don't know. You don't expect something back. You just give. I like it. Uh yeah, and then after Justice League, did their thing, I guess Superpowers did their thing. We got blessed with Total Justice.
I remember Total Justice. The man, the flexing, the nonstop flexing. They look so uncomfortable.
Oh my gosh, yeah, they all look like they were trying to lay an egg.
And it was so incredibly 90s. Like I mean, kind of
Right.
early
It was like
90s, I want to
90,
say.
I don't know, 96, 95, somewhere in the
That
middle.
sounds about right. I remember seeing those on the store shelves and wondering why. Like they had the typical kind of A pose for most of them with the legs, and yeah, something. They were all checking their watch to see what time it was. Not their best outing, but interesting to see. They were trying to push it towards something else. Like the 90s was
Right.
very much trying to break from the 80s traditional sculpting, and
Yeah.
they were trying to see what else was out there.
Right. And I think they were, they were had that sort of McFarlane pre-post thing.
Mhm,
But some of them, the Hawkman who came later on, was
mhm.
cool because it was the Hawkman with the gray pants and
Yep.
the military style boots. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And he wasn't so dramatically posed.
Yeah.
He looked normal. And the Huntress was very well done
Mhm.
later on in the series. She wasn't, laying an egg. She was
Mhm.
actually, I mean, she had a little bit of that 90s thing going on, but
Yeah.
she looked okay. You know why Flash ended up being my favorite? One, because he wasn't as thin, ironically. You'd think he'd be the one that was really lean.
You would think.
But he had not a bad stance, like he was stabilized. But the
Mhm.
bottom, all of them had smooth bottoms to their
Yep.
boots, except for the Flash. He
Mhm.
had ridges going down on the
Oh,
bottom of his boot. And I thought,
that
well,
makes
that's just
sense.
a cool detail that somebody thought about.
That
They
is
had
very impressive.
mailaways too, because the story was that Darkseid was invading. Oh, and they
Mhm.
made the Darkseid with the big giant claw on
Oh,
the hand. Yeah.
that actually might be my second Justice
It's not
League
a bad
related
sculpt
figure.
at all.
Yeah, I do remember. I remember seeing
You could have
him.
done without the claw or made it removable, but
Yeah, he was very inspired by Clamp Champ. I
yeah,
I
yeah,
I,
yeah.
remember- I do remember getting him and hoping, because I wasn't sure at the time, hoping that that claw was an attachment piece, and
Right.
was not, which was unfortunate. Because why does Darkseid need a grabber?
And right, he's
He
like, come
dropped
here.
he dropped the remote.
Um, yeah, and sometimes those shelves are really high when you get a couple of millennia old. Again, it was series 3 that sort of like there weren't many of the Huntress made, and Black Lightning was
Mhm.
in series 3, and I never
Okay.
got that figure. I was never able to find him.
Huh.
But I'd like to get him.
I didn't even know he was in that series.
Yeah, and also Despero
Mhm.
was in that series,
Oh,
which
that
was
was
cool.
that was the more like the one that came with the guns, right?
Yeah, and he's bigger. Yeah, he's big.
That character confuses me because I feel like DC is confused by him.
Yes,
He's had so many depictions where he's gone from like the strange monk that we saw in Justice League Unlimited.
right. To like a
It's
bounty
like,
hunter Lobo type.
yeah, so I've never been certain exactly what I'm supposed to think about Despero.
I was excited about that figure when it came out.
Mhm.
One, he was so big. Like
Yeah.
he's almost as big as Darkseid, if not as big.
Mhm.
And he had that cool gun that he doesn't hold very well, but it goes on his back.
Yeah.
He had a good like punch throwing arm, and he had that sort of pseudo military look with
Mhm.
the khaki, the military green pants, and just so well done. That was a good sculpt. Out of all of that line,
Yeah.
who were over sculpted,
Mhm.
um, his is fantastic. That character they did so well.
Did you get the DC Direct version of him? Because there's so many versions of him. There's a DC
I
Direct
didn't because
version
I
where
was very
he's
satisfied with that one I had.
oh, this one was, I guess it tackled the more like savage version of him, where
Hmm.
it's just him with the, it looks like he's wearing a towel essentially. It's just a blue cape,
Yeah, yeah,
and he's got that monstrous, almost like Whiplash from He-Man style face, or
yeah.
or a Killer Croc is, where it's all savage. The mohawk and his, I remember he almost looked disproportionate, but it worked because his lower half is a little bit shorter than the top half, and the top half is just massive and like
Right.
overly muscled. Um, I again, I don't know enough about the character to know why he looked like that versus, yeah, like being a bounty hunter randomly and being more
Right.
of an average looking
Yeah,
guy.
his whole
But
story was the whole, brainwashing as a cult leader, the
mhm,
fire of Pitar and all of
mhm,
that, and the third eye being able to. But he's a powerful dude. Like
yeah,
in some incarnations of him, he could like distort reality. But
Yeah.
he's got the super strength and stamina. He's got, you know, telekinesis. He could mind control. Like, he's a bad dude. I wish they would make some more cool figures of him.
He'll show up in the next Justice League movie. It'll be 12 hours
That would
long.
that would be awesome. That
3
would be
bathroom
very cool.
breaks.
You know, you talked about DC Direct, and that was a cool. It was cool, but you know, it was one of those things where they were almost too niche for me
Mhm.
because you had to go to the collector stores.
Yeah.
And you know, it's weird how that
I
flowed. Like there was retail and then the collector stores in the 90s, the boom, right?
yeah,
And
I
now they're almost gone as well.
yeah, I DC Direct fascinated me because like you said, they were fairly niche. So if you were up on comics, and I have no idea how close they worked hand in hand with DC, but definitely closer than companies that were producing stuff for like big box retail, because you could read whatever storyline was going on, and within maybe a month of that coming out, if that storyline was still going on, you were getting characters from DC Direct in comic shops that
Yeah,
were like
in
they
real
still hadn't
time.
been.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was amazing. That was, and it was never more evident than in Blackest Night, because you were getting lanterns as they appeared in the story. Uh, but I thought it was really cool that you had this, like, not even competing lines, which I think is why it worked so well. You had DC Direct making, like very niche characters, very specific characters that probably wouldn't sell on like
right.
in major
Like
retail. But then
Sergeant
you had,
Rock. Sergeant
yeah,
Rock was part of that, and
yeah.
some of the you know, older World War II characters. Very
I,
well done.
I think the first question that we got was DC Direct long before we saw him in DC Universe. But it was really cool to get those little niche characters long before we had Diamond making certain, and Diamond kind of sticks to the more traditional Marvel characters. So we
Right.
don't really have, there is no Marvel equivalent to DC Direct as far as I
Nope.
know. It's
Nope.
just whatever. Marvel Legends has gotten really good about cranking out characters that I just never thought we would ever see, but uh, all the stuff DC Direct, um, Kingdom Come, that whole
Yes.
line, like
That whole line is fantastic.
I don't think we'll ever see anything like that in like major retail unless McFarlane randomly decides he wants to tackle that in the line.
I
But
wouldn't be surprised if he did Magog, but
yeah,
that line was fantastic. I hurry up and got. I love that Green Lantern, that
mhm,
old Hal Jordan Green Lantern. It's
yeah,
fantastic. Well done. And the funny thing about it is, you take that Green Lantern, DC Direct, Kingdom Come, and you
mhm,
hold it up to the Hard Traveling Heroes DC Direct Green Lantern.
mhm.
They look like the same person. Like
Oh,
it
that's
looks
awesome.
like, yeah, it's really, really
That's
well
really
done.
cool. And the sculpting from that time, I say that time, but yeah, the sculpting from around that time really holds up now. Like the articulation has changed since then,
Yeah,
but overall, like their sculpting and detailing was phenomenal.
fantastic.
You know what I always wish that we got from that line? They did such a good job of covering, all the major hitters from that line, except for Orion. I
Yeah,
really
we
wish that
didn't
they
get an
had
R.
done Orion, because we don't have that future version of him where he grows into Darkseid, and I always
Right.
love.
That's a
I'm
good
sorry,
look too. It'd be a phenomenal
I,
figure.
spoilers for anyone that has not read Kingdom Come.
I
I
mean, it's
feel like you
30
should
years
have
old.
by now. But yeah, it was such a great look, and it wore it well. The design was really cool. Would love to have gotten that in plastic form.
Right. But you know who did give us a good Orion? And 2000 saved us from DC Direct, and we got the animated series,
Oh, Justice League or yeah,
Justice
just flat out
League,
Justice
and
League.
then Unlimited. But we can talk about
Yes.
the two of them collectively because you know, we've got some time to move forward. But you know, Unlimited gave us characters we would never have gotten in DC
Yeah.
Direct, or they give us Vigilante, Warlock. I mean,
We got
Warlord. I mean, like there are so many
would
figures
never
that came out
would,
of that line.
would never thought we'd get Stars and Stripes
No.
in a toy line.
Yeah,
I,
I was so excited. I love those figures every time, and it's not very often I come across one that I don't have, but when I
mhm,
do, I pick it up because that line is vast
mhm.
and incredible. I hate that they don't stand up very well because they got the same look as the cartoon,
Yeah,
but
they're very like inverted triangle where they all had the little tiny feet. I remember jumping onto that line. I don't remember what the first ones I got were. Oh, I do remember. It was the Superman versus Doomsday pack.
yeah,
I remember getting that, and then not long after that was the episode of Justice League Unlimited where they fight Doomsday in the volcano, and he comes out, and there's that one moment where
Right.
the
When
red
they're trying to
reflects off of
evacuate
him.
the island, yeah.
Yeah, and there's it's just a moment where he's reflected as red, but
Yeah.
it got a toy, so it looks like he himself is red. And
Oh,
I'm like,
they gave
this looks great.
everybody anything like
Yeah,
Amazo. They're like, oh, we're gonna make him silver. We're gonna make him
yep.
gold. We're gonna make him green. We're gonna
And I
with
liked
the
I
wings, the Amazo with the wings, like Hawkgirl.
that was a line that I had to cut myself off from because I was not going to stop. Like it
Right.
hit all the right notes. They looked really good. They were sleek. They were really cool. Yeah, standing them was a little bit of a chore, but
Right.
some of those molds, and I like that they were size appropriate. So like Doomsday
Yep.
was as large as he should have been.
Yep.
Unlike his what was it was before DC Universe where they had done a Superman versus Doomsday 2-pack. I mean, no, maybe it was Universe, but
It was.
I remember that Doomsday being really disappointing. And then there is like
Right, because he was barely any bigger than Superman. Yeah.
yeah, and then for some reason the lava
It was a great sculpt,
version,
though.
yeah, it was a really good sculpt. It was just a shame that it wasn't as large as it should have been. And then for whatever reason, that lava look, they're like, well, let's also do that one in lava colors. I was like,
Right.
why is this a thing? It was,
Yeah. It caught on.
but it still looked really cool. And we did eventually get our giant Doomsday from
Right.
the subscription service.
And in our next few minutes, we have to talk about the DC universe because that gave us even more characters
Yes.
that we didn't have. It gave us Atrocitus and
Mhm.
all of the, different Green Arrows that we talked about during the Green Arrow episode.
Yeah, I like that they were able to crank out lots of like the main your main cast was getting a character in
Right.
DC Universe, and you were getting people like Cheetah. Her character looked, or her figure
Yeah,
looked really cool. And
Really good.
multiple versions
Phantom
of Wonder
Stranger.
Woman. Yes. And I like that it was almost like they were working again in tandem with DC Direct, where if you just wanted DC Universe guys, you could get those, and you were getting your your Huntress and your Supergirl and
Right.
some
But
like
they hit some obscure notes.
yeah.
Monsieur
But it-
Mala in the brain.
Yes, holy cow. And if that wasn't good enough for you, then yeah, you could always go back to DC Direct and get a few kind of obscure characters and put them together, and they meshed fairly well. Like there were some differences in the sculpting, but
Right.
they worked pretty well.
And they had a signature series as well. So
Mhm.
so Superpowers had a mail away. Total Justice had mail aways. The Fractal Armor, Superman and Batman were mail aways.
Mhm.
And then this one had a signature series, almost like McFarlane does now. And I remember
Yeah.
one of them was Doomsday before he shed all the stuff.
Yes.
When he had the like goggles on and the green hood and all that. It's like that was their signature series figure.
Mhm.
It was cool.
Oh, that is cool. I remember. I didn't know that there was another version of that aside from the subscription one.
Yeah.
That
It was
is
very cool.
fantastic.
It was cool. I've never seen it in
Mhm.
person. I'd like to.
I want to get my hands on that really weird looking Doomsday that McFarlane put out that has the green crystals that should
Yes.
glow, but they
They
don't
should
glow.
I had that pre-ordered and then I
Mhm.
think I canceled it. But
I
I'll
think
pick it up.
he'll go through the cycle and he'll probably go on sale at some point.
Yeah, I'm sure he will because the other one did.
Mhm.
So you weren't big into Justice League toys when you were a kid, huh? Until the Justice
Not
League Unlimited.
not really. Yeah, like it was just like the random Batman, and then the Clamp Champ Dark Side, and not until Darkest Night really pulled me in, and I started looking more at DC Universe.
Mhm.
Got my Green Lantern fix, and then yeah, like it was really Justice League Unlimited that got me picking up characters that I wouldn't normally pick up, hoping that I would complete the collection, and it was just never going to be completed.
Right.
I had to stop because I was getting out of hand, and yeah, it was a great line, but it was too much, so I
Yeah.
had to
And
stop.
now between McFarlane's expanded universe
Mhm.
and then they had the 3-inch figures, the Spinjitzu or whatever they're called, those,
Mhm.
and all of the ones that we mentioned, plus more. Like I can't think of a DC character. I mean, I'm sure I could, but like that I couldn't find in some form or another
Yeah,
in a figure. Like
I I like
because
the
of Unlimited, they covered everybody, but
I like that McFarlane has finally done a ridiculous I guess, limited edition gold label series figure that makes sense. He's doing the statue of Batman, of a Superman
with
that
the
is the
eagle.
memorial with the eagle. And I was like, yes, that's correct. You are
Yes.
correct, McFarlane.
That should actually be gold.
Good job. So
I love the 6-inch Justice League animated series style figures. Like I'm picking them up as I find them because I just love them. I love them. That series. I mean, the Batman animated series, Superman, and then the Justice League. Fantastic. I love them all.
fantastic. So that's gonna be it. Do you have a favorite Justice League character or figure that you want to see made that hasn't been made?
You know, there are still a lot of like lantern ones. I would love like a,
Yeah, give us a beach ball of Mogo.
yeah, why not? Do it. But you know, Justice League for me is always that's what started it for me, the Super Friends. So I have a soft spot in my heart for the Justice League. So if anybody starts a new Justice League line, I'm in it. I'm on it. I'm doing it. It's just the way it goes.
So that's a good choice. I like it. I think if I had to pick someone that had not been done yet, it would be the Anti-Monitor's mama, Perpetua, I think her name was. She was in one of those giant mega crossover events, but she looks super cool. She is super massive, so she should get a Build-A-Figure, if not a HasLab level huge version of her, which I guess might fail because no one really knows who she is. She only appeared for one story, but that's who I would want. Watchers, listeners, thank you for joining us on another episode of Two Guys Talking Toys. If you would like to join in on the conversation, hit us up on Twitter. Our handle is Two Guys Talking Toys. That is the number 2, no G after the talking. Same thing for our Gmail. If you'd like to take a look at our Instagram, it is 2G Talking Toys. Same thing, number 2, no G after the talking. Take care, everybody.